Hi guys, happy Monday Mini. This is your first Monday Mini in your series of 4 in this February. Our topic today is protein, which fits so well with everything else that's going on because if you are doing the 28-day primal protein challenge, then this would be day 1. And also in a week, exactly, we start the masterclass. For any of you that are enjoying this, we're going to take a really deep dive into protein in that masterclass, which we haven't necessarily done in other masterclasses. I'm not only going to talk about protein a little bit more in depth during that masterclass, but I'm also going to talk about longevity and survival pathways, and dig into a little bit about how protein plays part in disease management, prevention, reversal, longevity, health span, etc. So, and how ketosis and fasting tie into that. So what is protein? Protein is one of the 3 macronutrients. So when we're talking about food, we have macronutrients and micronutrients, right? So the 3 macronutrients are protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Interestingly enough, because everybody thinks carbohydrates is like keeps us alive, and I don't necessarily suggest that we don't eat carbohydrates, but you could never put another carbohydrate in your mouth and survive and thrive again in your entire life. It's so interesting because out of the 3, we tend to be addicted and have a thing in our head that we have to have our carbs, right? But we have no exogenous need or necessity to take in carbohydrates. We do have a daily need for glucose, but our body will make that endogenously. So we don't need to ever eat another piece of carbohydrate ever again. You can, but you don't need to. But protein and fat, you will die. If you don't eventually eat them, you will die. And you will have all sorts of dysfunction leading up to your death because you didn't have them. Because they are essential and you cannot make So there are essential fatty acids that you cannot make in an endogenous way. You have to eat exogenously. And there's essential amino acids. So when you take a protein, which is an organic compound that's present in every living cell, there's all sorts of different needs and processes, and protein looks very different in different aspects through our body, but they still come down to being proteins. When you take a protein, you break it down. So when you eat protein, when you eat a piece of meat and when you eat protein, what you do then is your body then disassembles it down into essential amino acids. There are 20 amino acids, and 9 of them that are what we consider essential, meaning that we are unable to endogenously make or synthesize, and we need to get from an outside source. So it's kind of interesting if you think about it that all protein actually ends up coming from vegetables or plants, because even though we're not getting them, we're getting them from an animal because we're more closely related to an animal and we're able to break that down, and it's more bioavailable for us because it's gone through the process. That middleman actually did some of the work for us, but plants make their essential. They make their amino acids, and we eat them, and then an animal eats them, and then an animal eats them, and then we eat them because we're high on the food chain, right? So there's always this big debate, but it's like, well, really, it all comes from plants. It's just that it is much easier and beneficial and more bioavailable for us to get it from the middleman, to get it from the cow, or the pig, the chicken. So the lamb, the bison, we keep going, the fish. Remember, diversity in your animals. I want you guys eating lots of different animals and lots of different animal parts, nose to tail. So micronutrient, it's an organic compound. It's present in every cell. We tend to think about protein as far as muscle repair and muscle building, right? But it's also a very big part of the hormonal or the production of hormones in our body, the enzymes, our immune function. It actually influences the way that we transport oxygen in the form of hemoglobin and myoglobin, and it also plays a part in our lipoproteins. So, I mean, and that's just like a minor cut, like really every single part of our body, like how our body chemistry, how we protect, catalyze, and regulate our body chemistry in the forms of enzymes, hormones, antibodies, and globulins are all parts are all proteins. How we protect ourselves, like our skin, our hair, our ligaments, our tendons, our muscles, all proteins. So utilizing and eating high quality proteins, because remember, you are not just, so you are what you ate. That is a real statement. But you are what you ate. And what you ate. And you can go right down the line. But knowing where your food came from and knowing what your food ate is very important, because we really do break down what we eat and reestablish our body with what we've eaten. Kind of changes the thought as you put the food in your mouth. Like, that food is going to be me. It is going to be my cells. It's going to be my my cellular walls. It's going to be my cellular function. It's going to be, it's going to affect my mitochondria. It's going to affect my skin, my hair, my muscle, my bones, my thoughts, my emotions. I mean, proteins, hormones are proteins. Wrap that around your head, right? And how important our hormones are for our health and our sanity. So they affect all of these aspects in our life. And like I said, there's 9 essential ones that we need to bring together. The other thing is that not all foods are equal. It's like a protein isn't just a protein, because nothing is ever that simple, right? But we have different ways to look at or assess the quality of a protein. So one of the things is, we call it the concept is known as the biological value. So you have 0 to 100 that we grade different foods at. So an example would be an egg is 100% on the biological value. So bioavailability, you have 100% of the 6 grams of protein in that egg. You're going to get 6 grams of protein and you're going to absorb it in. Where the gluten in bread, it's like a random comparison, right? But the gluten bread is 64%. So you're getting and then the other thing you're looking at is the amino acid profile. So each thing, just because it has 6 grams of protein or 22 grams of protein or whatever, that word is a kind of an umbrella, right, of the amino acids. And you don't have the same amino acids in each food. So when you break down the amino acid profile, you're getting a different product, even though you're using the word protein. Right, and this is important because, some of them are essential, so you want to make sure you're getting the essential ones. And also the way that it plays out in your body. So, if you this is why I talk about diversifying animals. If you only ate, muscle, you only ate steak for the rest of your life, nothing else. Although you might actually be okay. But you really should. You can't just eat the muscle. So you could just eat from a cow for the rest of your life and you'd be fine. But just eating muscle, you would eventually have some problems, because the methionine is really, there's a lot of methionine in steak. A lot of methionine in steak and chicken. Great amino acid and very important, but you can get toxic. Now here's the beautiful thing that nature kind of plugged in. If you're diversifying your animal parts and you're eating stuff that has collagen, so you're eating stuff that has, you're eating bone broth and you're eating bone marrow, and you're eating, maybe you're eating sardines and getting the bones in them. Maybe, there's all sorts of different ways to get bones and get collagen into your diet in not a gross way. I can feel you all grimacing at me. I know you hate when I talk about nose to tail, but you need to embrace it, because this is the beautiful balance. Nature is beautiful and it's balanced. It's when we separate ourselves, because here's the thing, guys, listen to me. Really hear this. We are not separate from nature. Nature is not something that we go for a walk in. We are nature. We are nature. We are part of the food chain. We are animals, right? Our species evolved eating meat. That's why our brain got big, because of the protein and the fat that was in that meat. Nature is not separate from us. We are nature. And nature is perfect. So when you don't mess around, when you don't fuck it all up, because that's what humans love to do, is we just like run amok. And sometimes I look at our species and I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're like 12-year-olds without parents. Like we haven't figured it out yet, and we're just causing problems. And one of the things is that when we only eat the muscle and we don't eat the other parts of the animal, that balance, we're not able to strike that balance. So the amazing thing that nature set up here, right, that we evolved to do, if you're eating an animal, so you're eating a lot of chicken and so steak or whatever you're eating. If you're also doing bones, right? So that's the methionine in the bones. Let me see. I'm having a mind blank as the. See if I wrote it in my notes. It didn't. But there's another amino acid that counteracts the methionine. Glycerine. I should know my amino acids better. Sorry, guys. But anyways, there is one that counteracts the methionine. So that's actually a really cool thing because that's the same amino acid that that helps. Everybody's afraid that too much, and I don't know if I really want to dive into this because it's like another topic about autophagy and survival pathways and stuff, but just put it this way. When we think that, there's a lot of people who think that you should be very careful with your protein intake because of mTOR regulation and autophagy, which will be another video. These are our survival pathways for disease prevention, longevity, autophagy. It's all beautiful and it's awesome, and that's why we fast, and that's why we cycle for low and high protein days. But one of the things that's really neat is that there's that although you want to have a lower animal protein on certain days so that your autophagy can happen and can upregulate, or mTOR can downregulate so your autophagy can upregulate, there are some amino acids that play into that, and that when you have the higher amount of them, they also prolong life because of the prolonged muscle mass and things like that. So, I say this all the time, but it's all perfect when we get out of the way. We just need to get out of the way. So what does that leave us? That leaves us with, I really want you eating some more animals. What is the amount of protein you want to be eating? 0.8 to 1 grams per pound. If you go Googling it, you go looking at other things, you're gonna see 1,000 different suggestions, 1,000 different arguments. With this program, this is the suggestion at this point. 0.8 to 1 grams of protein, predominantly animal protein, over the course of a day. Keep your fasting. Don't stop your fasting though. Keep your fasting window. So during your feeding window, your feasting window, you want to have at least 30 grams in each meal, preferably a little bit more. You want to hit that mark of 0.8 to 1. What are reasons that you'd be lower end? If you have like 100 pounds, like if you have a lot of weight to lose, like 60, 70, 80, 100 pounds, then you want a little bit lower at first, and then we will squeak you over as you go and get you higher. If you have trouble consuming, that would be like your lower level that you would say, although most of you are really kind of want you on a little bit of the higher end. Over 65, you definitely want to be at that 1 gram per pound. Athletes, healing from surgery, pregnant, did I say athletic? If you're lifting, if you're, whatever, if you're working out a lot. I mean, really, most of us are really want us on. If you're lifting super heavy or you're like a really high level athlete, I want you at 1.2 actually. You don't really need to go. The studies show that anything higher than 1.2 is not really helpful. That you just piss it out. It's not helpful. So really focusing on trying to get to that. Now, remember that carbohydrates are a limit, protein is a goal, and fat's a lever. So then you can just fill with fat. So keep your processed carbohydrates low. Eat fat and protein until you're satiated. Try to hit that mark every day. If you are fasting, today in particular, because it's Fast Monday, so if you're fasting over 20 hours, If you're going to OMAD today or any day, that's fine. 1 to 2 days a week, you don't have to worry about it. I just like at least one like good 50 or 60 gram meal in that space. If you're fasting the entire day, like on Mondays, a lot of times I will not eat at all. I might do like a 36. Then that's fine. Don't worry about it because that's great. That's like your mTOR is down, autophagy's through the roof. You know, your insulin is low. You're doing a lot of good things. It's just that you want to counter-regulate that with a day where you're having a nice high bolus of protein. All right, guys. So there's so much more to talk about, but I think that's enough for today. And we will dive in a little bit more as we go on. All right, guys. Have an awesome Monday.